Hello everyone, now with a new chapter of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, not only showing us how powerful Boruto is within his base, but also just what he's had up his sleeves during the time skip and what he's been training for. A lot of questions arose when, during his UZUHIKO reveal, due to even my own admission, it being pretty confusing. But regardless, they did do a good job at explaining the technique. Now, starting off, before we get into just how powerful it is, we need to know exactly what the Rasengan UZUHIKO is. It is a special variant like the Rasen Shuriken of the Rasengan that has absorbed the chakra and rotation of the planet that Boruto is now on, and can not only implant this inside of you by touch, but also if you make any contact with Boruto, the UZUHIKO wind will be implanted within your body as well. So basically making Boruto both the offensive and defensive peak of what we've seen in Naruto. He cannot be touched without being damaged, and he also cannot touch you without damaging you, regardless of if you're stronger than him, because this bypasses durability. We see this when Code attempts to grab Boruto, but is just taken over by the UZUHIKO Rasengan. This jutsu, while it's stored inside of you, Boruto can choose to detonate it at any time and kill you because of his passive internal damage, or he can keep it going and not have it kill you. The only way to stop this jutsu is to destroy the planet, as that it's had its rotation taken over by the Rasengan UZUHIKO. This jutsu also makes the person taken over by it so dizzy and confused that they lose all sense of direction, causing them to not be able to hit you or even track you properly. This is why Code's attacks seemingly pass through Boruto, and his text bubbles and speech are also slurred and disorganized, basically giving a sort of drunk or non-able to fight type of effect. Another property of this jutsu is how basically it's durability negation, as it attacks the inside of your body, and in Naruto and most verses, you cannot train your organs or the inside of your body. Now yes, Code is a cyborg and pseudo Otsutsuki, but none of that leads credence to him training his insides or his organs being inherently more durable, as the gentle fist is still something that Otsutsuki's use, and those do internal damage. It also of course has outside AP, but of course Boruto held back this to not kill Code, both the internal and external damage, because he still needs Code to lead him to the Jubi. Now that we know what it is, we just need to find out how strong is it in crossverse or AP scaling terms. Now a lot of fans have tried to downplay this by misinterpreting what it is and saying, oh, Boruto is planetary in base and this is his cap and ceiling, and he no longer scales to Kaguya or Naruto or any of the high tiers that were previously established within the Naruto universe. But that is false. While multiple Naruto characters are planetary in base, this feat is not only planetary and certainly doesn't cap out at it. Let's get into the debunks. So firstly, Damon comments on how this attack and says the earth is shaking, basically saying that the Rasengan UZUHIKO that Boruto uses causes the entire planet to shake or the ground to shake, whichever one doesn't really matter. This makes people say, or casuals say, oh, since it only shook the earth, or that's what we see it shake, it must be planetary and only planetary. Well, no. Just like how if an attack from, let's say, Goku or Naruto, since those are your favorite power scaling fighters within anime, doesn't shake the earth, we still scale their power above planetary, because them and the rest of their verse can not only control their DC, but they can control their AP, and they don't have to affect the entire planet once they use attacks. The same is said for the opposite. So if you were to shake the planet, this case Boruto, we could say, oh well, this is planetary, this is moon, or this is multi-continental, but we don't. Why? Because remaining logically consistent, we could say this isn't his ceiling, because the same logic we use for Goku and Naruto, that he has better scaling outside of this, is the reason that we then scale these feats above what's demonstrated right now, I guess AP wise. Because we know why the attacks don't destroy planets and don't destroy universes. It means that it's not that level. That's just caveman thinking. No one thinks that way anymore, and that goes against the entire logic and definition of attack potency and destructive capacity. While destructive capacity does show a minimum of the attack potency that the user can use, attack potency doesn't have to be equal to destructive capacity. For example, people like Kaguya have the expansive truth-seeking orb that can destroy whatever you want to say the realms are, planets, stars, solar system, universes, doesn't really matter. She has the DC to destroy these realms. With someone like Naruto, since he can damage her and compete with these levels of power, while in the AP or very contained attacks, Naruto may not have the DC to just outright Rasengan away an entire dimension. We don't say since he can't do this, he's not this level. We simply say he lacks the destructive capacity, but since he's fighting beings on this level with beings using these AP attacks and durability of solar systems and stars, he can still dish out that same level of power within a contained area. Now back to the example, since you guys love to scale Goku and Naruto. They don't shake the planet with all of their attacks, and we still scale their power above planetary, because again, they can to control the destructive capacity, i.e. the AP. The same is true for the opposite. Yes, even if it shook the planet, we could say, oh well, this is planetary or moon level, but that does not mean that it caps out at that. I can't stress this enough because most people think once something is stated at a certain level, it has to be that level. If something isn't said that it is maximum planetary, then we can't just assume that that is the limit that it has, especially if we have evidence for the contrary. Most anime disputes and power scaling disputes would just be let off if people remained agnostic and tried to not make a claim on everything. Now, to give some in-manga or in-universe explanations and examples of this being on display is when we have Goku in Dragon Ball Super. Despite being well above universal since the Battle of Gods arc, in the Moro arc he still only shakes the planet, and Moro's attack is gonna state it to be blowing up the galaxy, despite again being a universal being. Do we now downscale Goku to only planetary? And do we now downscale Moro to only galaxy level? No, because while this is the DC of these set attacks, and while he is going to destroy only the galaxy, that does not mean the AP of his attacks aren't still able to damage and put forth this universal type power and energy. Another big example is the Dragon Ball Supercast being able to be damaged by Moro's planet attack, or him using the energy of a planet to attack Vegeta and Goku, and these attacks actually having an effect on them. This is because although they are universal in durability and attack power, the power of the planet is being greatly amplified by Moro himself, by not only his ki but his magic as well. And natural energy in general in most anime just work much more differently than, let's say, ki or magic alone. This is again just to say, never put a cap on abilities that don't have a cap stated, and you just have to learn to interpret a little bit. I know people don't like being the skeptic or don't like staying agnostic, but sometimes you just have to remain agnostic. It's perfectly fine. Not everything needs to be explained all at once. Now that that's out the way, let's attack what the scan actually says. So it's Boruto using a Rasengan from his chakra and the planet's rotation, and the chakra all being amplified by his Rasengan. So using the downplay logic, it would have to be above by definition because the chakra and ninjutsu amplifies what chakra can do on its own. The Rasengan specifically in this analogy and example is the thing that is absorbing all of this power, rotation, and chakra and amplifying it. Boruto is 100% Otsutsuki and is trained a lot, so even if you were to say, oh, he's using just a planet amount of chakra, you would have to be also conceding to the fact that it's super amped by what Boruto can do normally. Another example being, if you believe Naruto just has a tiny fox within his body that can destroy a couple forges, maybe a planet at max, but you still also believe he scales to Kaguya, it is because he's taking this fox level of power that can destroy a planet and amplifying it so much so by his multitude of hacks and abilities and forms that he has that it's now able to destroy a being who can blow up a star or blow up a universe, whatever you scale Kaguya to. Smaller amounts of chakra are taken all the time to create a reaction that's so much more powerful than what's put into it that multiple characters in Naruto just go out of their way to explain this very concept that I am today. In the Rasengan UZUHIKO example, this is basically the same concept with, of course, far more chakra both in potency and volume because Boruto is way stronger than Naruto, and Boruto also just has Otsutsuki levels of chakra. Yamato even says simply changing even the nature or form of a jutsu makes the jutsu far stronger, and the Rasengan alone is stated that the fourth honed its form to the utmost and highest degree. Both of these simple changes to this simple jutsu making it far stronger as a result. Another example is how in Sage Mode and 6-Path Sage Mode or even Kaguya all use chakra from nature or nature energy or the planet, and to far surpass what nature can do, such as what the forests and rivers, springs, and lakes that they're gaining their power from, none of which can destroy stars, planets, solar systems, or universes, but by amplifying it with ninjutsu and amplifying just the chakra within their body, they are both stated and shown to have reactions far greater than what's put inside of them to make it. Basically, in simpler terms, you can amp up small amounts of chakra to make it much stronger and much more potent. This is a concept within almost every single battle shonen, and a concept with ki within Dragon Ball is what Naruto takes heavy inspiration from, and Boruto takes heavy inspiration from. What makes what Boruto's doing even more crazy is we know how chakra control and shape manipulation of a jutsu in simple terms can make jutsu far stronger than what they originally are. We learned this from Yamato with the Rasen Shuriken training and just throughout all of Naruto. Boruto is not only taking this hyper-condensed earth, nature energy, and chakra, which we know is condensed because Momoshiki said just the chakra alone, the pure weight and amount of it on earth was ripping tears through space. We learned that in the anime, and that's why basically Momoshiki was saying that the space curvature was exceeding a level 16 or 17, I believe. So Boruto is taking this far above planetary power and far above normal planets' condensed nature energy and manipulating its shape and power with chakra control, amplifying its abilities far superseding what Naruto could ever do with his Sage mode or any Sage. This feat is above what Kaguya did to manipulate nature and also what Hagoromo did to manipulate nature. Boruto, without the use of Sage mode, I'm assuming because he is 100% Otsutsuki, and Otsutsukis just by nature are in tune with the nature around them and can use it to amplify their abilities, he's able to replicate and far surpass all of these feats. That's just even more evidence that this is not just a planetary feat and far surpassing it, scaling above what the high tiers can do normally. Now moving on, regardless of it again not ever being stated planetary because that's what people are making up, or is it supposedly being a AP feat, it is an attack that Boruto both held back in AP both internally and externally. That code didn't have any external damage from what we see on his actual person in the chapter, so it doesn't contradict any scaling whatsoever. Whatever you scale Naruto high tiers to, whether it's Star, Solar System, or Universal, this feat doesn't debunk nor contradict anything. Because again, you cannot train your insides, especially in Naruto, it being stated and shown with some of the highest and most advanced beings within the Naruto universe, not having any defenses against organ level or inside bodily attacks. The final statement is, to sum it all up, this doesn't contradict any scaling. This also doesn't downscale the verse. This is mostly a hex technique that still scales the AP when they want it to and also causes internal damage that makes the opponent unable to hit you. This is also base Boruto, who isn't trying at all, so probably isn't using a lot of chakra as well. And for what all it means, this is also respect to code for enduring these internal attacks and also not taking any external damage from Boruto whatsoever. While Boruto does clearly scale above Code as he's holding back and still beating him up, it doesn't seem like Code is just getting, one shot by these internal attacks. So if you were to have someone cross-verse that maybe did some attacks that targeted the organs, they would have to use a lot more to put down Code. With that being said, when you are interpreting a scale chain or any scaling whatsoever, please be mindful what the scan or manga actually says, because I can't stress this enough. Nowhere in the single chapter that released this month does it ever say this is a planet level attack. Nowhere does it also ever say that this caps out at planetary. None of that is ever stated, and I still have yet to see where people are getting this from. Any questions, please make sure to leave them in the comment section below, or we can speak on Discord or Twitter. All links are in the description. Also, I know a lot of you are interested where I scale Naruto crossverse, so I'll just say it here. Naruto and Boruto character scale